Microsoft just launched a new AI image model called MAI-Image-2-Efficient. And the headline isn't just better images. It's faster generation, lower cost, and a very different signal about where AI image tools are going next. Because for the last couple of years, the industry has obsessed over one thing: who can make the prettiest image? But Microsoft's newest move says the next battle might be about something else entirely. Who can make useful images at production scale without burning absurd amounts of compute? And by the end of this video, you'll understand what Microsoft actually launched, why this matters beyond one product update, where the real business opportunity is, and why efficient might end up being the most important word in generative AI this year. According to Microsoft's announcement, MAI-Image-2-Efficient is now available in Microsoft Foundry and MAI Playground. And it sits alongside the company's broader first-party multimedia push, which also includes MAI Voice 1 and MAI Transcribe 1. That matters because this isn't just a random model drop. It looks like part of a larger strategy. Microsoft wants its own stack of image, voice, and transcription models that developers can build on directly inside its ecosystem. So this story is bigger than image generation. It's about Microsoft moving AI from flashy demo territory into something that looks much more like infrastructure. So, what actually happened? Microsoft introduced MAI-Image-2-Efficient, sometimes shortened to Image-2E, as a faster and more efficient sibling to MAI-Image-2. In the company's words, the original MAI-Image-2 was built as its best text-to-image model for photorealism, expressiveness, and reliable in-image text, while the new version is designed to make that capability faster and cheaper. And Microsoft attached some very specific numbers to that claim. It says MAI-Image-2-Efficient is up to 22% faster than MAI-Image-2, 4 times more efficient when normalized by latency and GPU usage, and about 40% faster on average than other leading text-to-image models in its benchmark setup. There's also a pricing angle here. Microsoft says the model is priced at $5 per 1 million text input tokens and $19.50 per 1 million image output tokens, which it describes as nearly 41% lower cost. Now, it's important to say this clearly. Those speed and cost claims come from Microsoft's own testing notes. In the footnotes, the company says its internal comparisons were measured on April 13, 2026. And that results can vary based on batch size, concurrency, and latency constraints. That doesn't make the claims false, but it does mean viewers should treat them as vendor-reported benchmarks, not universal real-world outcomes. So how should we think about this model? Microsoft says MAI-Image-2-Efficient is built on the same architecture as MAI-Image-2, the earlier model that Microsoft says ranked as the number 3 image model family on the Arena.ai leaderboard. The company hasn't published a deep public technical breakdown in the announcement, explaining every internal change. So the safest way to describe it is this: Microsoft appears to have taken the base capabilities of MAI-Image-2 and optimized the system around throughput, latency, and GPU efficiency for production use. In plain English, that likely means the goal wasn't to squeeze out the absolute highest artistic quality in every scenario. The goal was to get more usable images, faster on the same or lower hardware budget. And that distinction matters. A lot of people hear better AI model and assume it means one thing: maximum quality. But in business systems, the better model is often the one that can respond quickly, serve more users at once, and keep costs predictable. Microsoft itself frames the split very clearly. It calls MAI-Image-2 Efficient the production workhorse for product shots, marketing creatives, UI mockups, branded assets, and batch pipelines, while MAI-Image-2 is positioned as the precision tool for portraits, photorealistic scenes, stylized looks, and longer or more complex in-image text. That's a useful way to understand the launch. This isn't one model replacing another. It's Microsoft carving image generation into 2 lanes, one for scale and speed, another for maximum fidelity. And this is the part most people missed. The real significance of MAI-Image-2. Efficient isn't just that it generates images faster, it's that Microsoft is optimizing for the moment when AI images stop being occasional creative experiments and start becoming an always-on business workflow. Think about e-commerce. A retailer may need thousands of product variations, localized ad creatives, seasonal banners, and quick mockups for A/B testing. In that world, the question isn't, can this model make one stunning image? The question is, can it generate a huge volume of good images quickly enough, cheaply enough, and reliably enough to fit into a real pipeline? That's exactly the kind of use case Microsoft highlights: high-volume production workflows, interactive experiences, and rapid prototyping. The company says lower latency makes the model suitable for conversational apps and creative copilots, while its higher efficiency makes large batch generation more practical. If you're building software, this is where it gets interesting. A faster model can change the product itself. An AI design assistant feels more alive when image generation happens inside the flow of a conversation instead of after an awkward wait. If you run a small business, the benefit is simpler. Lower generation cost and faster turnaround can make it easier to test more campaign ideas without treating each image request like a budget decision. And if you're a developer inside a larger company, Microsoft is basically offering a new trade-off curve. Maybe you don't use the premium model for every single task. Maybe you use the efficient model for drafts, mockups, bulk assets, or live interactions, and save the heavier model for the final polished output. That's not just a model launch, that's workflow design. Now, here's the catch. Efficiency is powerful, but it also means trade-offs. Microsoft's own positioning implies that MAI-Image-2-Efficient is not the top choice for every image task. The company recommends the original MAI-Image-2 when the job requires the deepest photorealistic contrast, more subtle visual nuance, or longer and more precise in-image text. So the risk here is simple. If teams hear faster and cheaper and assume better in every way, they could deploy the wrong model for the wrong workload. There's also a broader issue in generative AI more generally. Once image creation gets faster and cheaper, the barrier to mass production drops. And that can be good for productivity, but it can also mean more low-quality content, more synthetic media flooding platforms, and more pressure on teams to automate creative work aggressively. The reason not to overreact is that Microsoft is not presenting this model as a magic replacement for high-end creative judgment. In its own framing, the company is offering specialization, one model for scale, another for precision. That actually suggests a more practical and measured deployment pattern than a one-size-fits-all story. And there's another limit worth remembering. Microsoft says availability differs by product and region, noting that MAI Playground is available in select markets, including the US, with EU countries coming later. So even if the model is technically live, access may not be identical everywhere right away. So what should we watch now? First, watch where Microsoft deploys this beyond developer tools. In the official launch note, the company says MAI-Image-2-Efficient is also rolling out across Copilot and Bing, with more surfaces like PowerPoint coming soon. That matters because the true impact of an AI model often doesn't show up in the API first. It shows up when the model becomes the quiet engine inside products millions of people already use. Second, watch whether Microsoft can make this a broader platform advantage inside Foundry. If developers can mix Microsoft's image, voice, and transcription models inside the same stack, the company isn't just competing on model quality anymore. It's competing on ecosystem convenience. Third, watch the industry's response. Microsoft is openly framing image generation as a speed and cost problem now, not just a quality contest, and that could pressure rivals to optimize for production economics instead of pure demo performance. If that shift holds, we may see the image model market split more clearly into tiers: flagship models for final creative output, and efficient models for real-time apps, bulk generation, and embedded enterprise workflows. And if that happens, best model will stop meaning most beautiful single image and start meaning best balance of quality, latency, and cost for a specific job. So let's close the loop. Microsoft didn't just launch a faster image generator. It made a case that the next phase of generative AI may be less about spectacle and more about operational usefulness. That's why MAI-Image-2-Efficient matters. Not because it proves image models are finished, not because it wins every benchmark forever, but because it shows where serious AI deployment is heading, towards systems that are fast enough to feel seamless, cheap enough to scale, and specialized enough to fit real work. And maybe that's the bigger shift hiding underneath this launch. For years, AI image generation was judged like an art competition. Now it's starting to look more like infrastructure, something businesses compare on throughput, latency, integration, and cost control. So here's the question. When AI image models become cheap and fast enough to disappear into everyday software, does image generation become more creative or just more invisible? If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe and drop a comment with the AI tool launch you want covered next. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.